UCLA. Questions for the student athletes, please raise your hand. We will bring a microphone to you. We'll start with Steve down front.
Jaime, have you watched the tape from the last time you guys played Gonzaga here?
Yeah, I've seen it. And we're ecstatic that we're here in the Sweet 16 and we're able to play against a great team.
Back here in the back.
Scott Miller, New York Times. For all, Jaime and Tiger especially, referring to that question on that game, but not about the wins and losses. Just what do you remember that game being like? What were the feelings like as you were playing and looking back on it, aside from win or lose?
I think it's a new team. If you want to compare last year, I think it was maybe the third game of the year, and talk about almost 2 years, like maybe a year and a half, something later. We got a lot of new guys. This is a completely new team. So I think that game has little effect on what we're doing here in this game coming up.
I mean, Jaime, hit it right on the head. It's hard to compare a game, from a year ago or even when we played them before that, because we have a whole new team. They have a whole new team. Obviously, there's still some guys that were there, just like we have. But, we're going into this game not worried about the past ones and just trying to get a win on Thursday.
All right, we'll go to Thukni Nguyen from the LA Times on Zoom. Go ahead.
Hi. This is Thukni Nguyen with the LA Times. I have a question for you, Tiger. Coach Cronin is always talking about how hard it is to play defense with freshmen. You have one guy sitting next to you right now. But how has this team been able to do it with Amari and Adem and Dylan and Will contributing so much? And what kind of role do veterans have in helping bring those guys along?
Well, it's good having freshmen that, are here and that are willing to listen and that are, willing to take on the task in front of them. If you would have, Amari being a great defender, for example, last game, he played a point guard that made second team all Big Ten and, made it difficult for him all game and to even go back the game before. So when you have guys that are just ready and they're going against veterans every day in practice, it makes it a little easier when they get out there. But all that has to do with, effort and, them locking into the scouting report also, because with young guys, it's hard. They'll get backdoored, they'll get beat. It'll be a lot of things that you don't expect. But, the guys that we have, they've taken on this defensive job very seriously because they know that, that's the only way we're going to win is by defense. And they recognize that.
Okay, here in the middle.
Park Patel from Los Angeles Daily News. Jaime, you've been in so many of these tournaments now, Tiger yourself, but for Jaime, for you specifically, do you ever have to pinch yourself a little bit, man? You've played in so many March Madness games, doing media all the time. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it becomes surreal for me, and I think Tiger and Amari can probably speak to that as well. I think it's hard, and me and Tiger talk a lot after games about just trying to understand and realize the bigger picture and take ourselves out of our shoes and look at what we've really done as a group together. And we look back and we're proud of what we've accomplished so far. Obviously, we're still here, we're still playing, and we got a lot more to do. But when we look back, we're very proud of the effort and hard work that we put into building this program to what it is today.
Okay, down front.
Jim Alexander from the Orange County Register, Southern California News Group. Amari, along those same lines, this being your first exposure to March Madness, what are your impressions right now? What's going through your head with not only what's going on the floor, but all the media stuff and all the other stuff that goes with it?
Really just staying in the moment, staying present with my guys. That's all I really can do. Just like you said, this is my first experience with all of this. And I'm really just taking it one step at a time, with the media, with gameplay, practice play. So, yeah.
Okay, let's go to the Zoom back to Thukni Nguyen of the LA Times.
Jaime, I had one for you. Obviously, your sister is going to be playing in her Sweet 16 this weekend. Just what parts about her game do you appreciate the most and the kind of player she's grown into so far at UCLA?
She's tough. She's tough. I think we play a very similar style of game. I was very happy I got to watch her in the second round. I was able to go. I know all the guys were there supporting the women's team as well. I'm just very proud of the work that she's put in. It's difficult as a freshman, but she's taking her time there and she's making the most of it. So I'm just very happy and proud of her.
Okay, back here in the middle.
Andrew Quinn, Creme 2 in Spokane, Washington. Jaime, Drew talked about you guys being roommates at a camp in high school.
Yeah.
Just seeing how far he's come. He's now the all-time scoring leader at Gonzaga. You've probably had battles with him over the years. Just how tough is he offensively, footwork wise, and everything? And just seeing him grow all the way from high school, just what's that been like from afar?
We, like you said, we met each other. We were roommates at I think the Balls Live camp in SoCal, and it was great to just get to know him, get to see how he was at the time. I mean, I don't think either of us knew how far our careers were going to go at that time. We were just kids enjoying basketball and having fun, and it's great to see him and all the success that he's had there. And I credit that to all the hard work that he's put in. It was very cool to have full circle moments like that in life. I think 360 is a magic number. I think a lot of things come full circle, and I think here's another one of those instances.
Right here in the middle.
Thank you. Tiger, for you specifically, can you talk a little bit about Dylan Andrews? I think naturally his minutes have literally gone up, his points. He's made some key plays with the free throws and the three-pointer Northwestern. Just your comments on Dylan Andrews and him being able to step up on such a big stage.
It might sound crazy, but I expect that from, and not just me, but the team expects that from him. Ever since he's first got here, he's been a dog and he's been willing to learn. And, he's asked me all types of questions and he's trying to figure it out one game at a time. And, I think that he just shows that he's ready when he comes in. Like, to your point, those big free throws that he hit, we don't win unless he hits those. So he's just a guy that stays ready. And, when his time comes, it's going to be crazy. He'll show everybody.
Right down front.
Connor Morissette, Sports Illustrated Media Group. For Jaime and Tiger, what only this year, stands out about Gonzaga on film to you guys?
I think more their offense obviously has been a big focal point of their team, and I think that's just constant throughout the 3 years that I've been here and been able to play them. They're always tough to guard in transition, the pick and roll as well. So we're just going to try to trust in our game plan, trust in the coaches, and we're going to try to execute the best we can.
Alan, I'm sorry, you want to follow up? Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
Oh, all right, go ahead, Alan.
Alan Snow with lbsportsbiz.com. This is up for all three guys. How would you describe Las Vegas as a basketball town, since you guys come here every year for the tournament, and also you guys play here some special one-off games too, in the fall?
That's for all three of you guys, so just take turns.
I mean, I feel like we just want to. I feel like we want to come here and win, obviously, but I feel like we've joked around about it a little bit, but just break the curse that we have here in Vegas and just come out here on top. So
I think just to add on that too, I think me and Amari obviously play high school, but everyone here I think has gone to Vegas at one point in their life for basketball. I think it really is an underrated mecca when it comes to youth basketball and just basketball on whole. I think it's a very underrated city.
Tiger, you want to answer?
They pretty much answered so I think I'm good.
Other question? Oh, Adam, right here in front.
Adam Hill, Review Journal. Tiger, I'll ask you. I know you have been asked about a couple of the younger guys. Will, in particular, he's a Vegas kid coming back home. What is his journey kind of? How's it been kind of perceived by you guys, and what have you seen in his development?
Well, we know Will is a great player, and he's coming off a pretty serious injury. So me personally going through something like that, I try to talk to him and help him try to get more comfortable with his body, and just tell him how much we need him and how there's no rush, but we need him to play if we want to win. So he's a gamer, so he stays ready. We're just trying to keep up his confidence, because we see him do great things every day in practice, defensively and offensively. So we're just trying to get him more comfortable in his body and just ready to come in these games and help us win, because we know we're going to need him.
Okay, right here in front.
Kyle Kensing, this is for flowhoops.com. Jaime, I talked to you before the season. You talked about coming back and how being on campus at the same time as your sister was pretty special. Getting to see her go to the Sweet 16, you were mentioning that. What's been the best part of being a big brother with your little sister on campus and kind of going through the journey together?
I think just being able to, see firsthand her growth as, a player, but also as a woman as well. This is just a big transition in everyone's lives when they go to college. And I think she's handling it great. Obviously they're in the Sweet 16, but I think just more than that, she's learning how to live, by herself on her own and kind of finding her own way in life. And I think that's just really cool as an older brother, just to see my little sister grow up in front of my eyes.
Okay, right here.
One more question, Jaime, along that line. Are your parents going to be flying back and forth this weekend between here and Greenville, or what's the deal there?
I don't have their flight itinerary, but I know they're crazy and they're going to try to make both as best they can. My parents are very supportive and they've been that way since I was a kid. And I just really appreciate all the hard work that they put in trying to make it and support, all three of their kids in all their, sports and all their games.
Back here in the back.
Amari, coming in as a freshman, your last 5 games averaging 17 points per game, obviously not phased at all by the bright lights of March and the Pac-12 tournament and everything. Just what about this time of year is bringing out the best in you right now, especially heading into a matchup with a team as prolific offensively as Gonzaga?
I'm really just trying to stay sane and trust in my work, trust in what we built together collectively as a group, not really getting beside myself, knowing that we're going to have to come in and compete for 40 minutes, really just letting everything play out and whatever happens, and just staying present in the moment, really.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Thank you guys very much. Good luck tomorrow night.
Thanks, guys.
Just a reminder when you're asking a question to identify yourself for our transcripts, please. Thank you. I told you. I know. Yep, we're ready. Good. See, Nick, I'm Jeff. Nice to meet you, buddy. Okay, now we're joined by UCLA head coach Mick Cronin. Coach, welcome to Las Vegas. Opening comment about tomorrow night's game against Gonzaga.
Great to be back in Vegas. Always good to be in Vegas. I think I might, obviously, we're happy to be here. It's not easy to get here. There's only 16 of us left. So we take the opportunity very seriously. So we're not here for vacation. Everything we work for is hopefully to win 4 more games. So got to find a way to win tomorrow night. I have great respect for our opponent. Obviously, we've played him the last couple of years. Everybody knows about the Final Four game. So I have great respect for them.
All right, Dan.
Yeah, Dan Wolken, USA Today. Mick, the way college basketball is now, it's pretty rare to have multiple players from a Final Four game 2 years ago that are still, in college and playing in this one. How do you think that plays with your guys just in terms of, understanding what they're up against tomorrow?
Oh, I think they definitely do understand, which would be, I agree, rare, right? This day and age, college basketball. But, just like Watson and Timmy understand, so they got the same kind of guys. which is why both teams probably have, I don't know their record, but I'm sure they got over 30 wins. So, or I know we got 31. So there's a reason that we got a lot of wins, over 60 combined probably between us. So, yeah, I think it makes it is, I'm sure people in this room like yourself, Dan, wish it was more like that. You know, we're all getting older and we, think about how we, college basketball was great when Leitner and Hurley played together for a long time. I know I'd like to coach Kareem and Bill for 6 years, 3 and 3.
On the side here.
That'd be really nice. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Ben Balch, Los Angeles Times. Before the season, somebody asked you if this could be your best defensive team at UCLA, and you kind of chuckled and said, no, too many freshmen.
Yeah.
But it's funny how it played out, right?
Yep.
And looking at those freshmen, it's like now you'd almost want more of those guys.
Yeah.
They've been so good. What's gone into making this your best defensive team with guys like Adem, Amari, Will, Dylan making such big defensive contributions?
Well, you said this actually to me early. I remember you said this is the most athletic team you've had. And I learned from Coach Huggins 20 years ago, or more than that now, 23 years ago since I worked for him. You got to be able to erase mistakes. Great defense. You can't just be good. You're not always going to be perfect. So defense, the great teams can erase mistakes. And you do that with the better athletes you have, you have a much better chance to erase a mistake. So, there's times where there might be a guy open, but Amari Bailey's such a great athlete that he deflects the pass. Or Dembona changes the shot. Kenneth Nuba blocks the shot. And then to combine that with the seniors that we have, back to the experience, that they're in the right place 99% of the time. But your freshmen are so athletic that they can make up for their athleticism supersedes their inexperience at times and their toughness. As you know, I'm a big believer in that. So the guys, the two that have started for us all year, unbelievably tough athletic kids. Amari Bailey's an unbelievably tough athletic kid, and so is Dembona. Now, we've been able to keep it going without the best perimeter defender I've ever coached, and the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, Jalen Clark. So, we just had the makings of that team, of a team that could be great defensively. Steve?
I know Steve Karp with the.
Good to see you, man.
Hi, good to see you. With the Sporting Tribune. You've been around the game a long time. You remember when Las Vegas was not seen in a good by the NCAA.
I read that article.
In a good light. You're here playing in an NCAA regional. How's that wash with you as a guy who comes here every year with his team and has had no problems in terms of dealing with Vegas?
Long overdue. Long overdue. So I'll just try to be pointed. You guys know me, I'm always honest. Long overdue. Great city. Probably the best city in our country to host an event. The Final Four was just a matter of time once Allegiant was built. But we all know why, that the NFL, once the NFL came here, it was going to open it up for everything else. I mean, that's just the facts. And then, once state legislators started passing and allowing FanDuel and DraftKings and all that stuff, then it was okay. Somebody's always got to make a move first. And the NFL made the move here first to Vegas. I think that probably opened it up. Obviously, you need the arena. But Thomas and Mack is an unbelievable building. Could have hosted a lot of tournaments. I'm sure that's what you're thinking. So just happy for the city. Well deserved. Long, long overdue.
Mark. Mark Anderson, AP.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, 3-point shooting percentage is down this year compared to previous tournaments. Any explanation for that?
You'd have to give me the numbers.
1% it's generally been over 32.
So we're talking about 1%.
Yeah.
If we're not talking about my portfolio, I'm not interested. Are you serious? We're talking about 1%? Wow.
Over 32. This is probably a little bit of a dip.
Well, we got rid of the teams that can't shoot. Now let's play.
Okay, in the back.
Sam Gordon, Las Vegas Review Journal. Mick, Will's playing a lot of big games here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
None bigger than the one tomorrow. How would you kind of contextualize his journey through the program to the point when you met him in recruiting to, going through the injury, the adversity, and where he is now?
Yeah, well, Grant Rice is a good friend of mine. Somebody, he could easily could be a college coach, but he's smart enough to have a normal life and a great family. Brooke probably wouldn't let him do it, even if he wanted to. But he told me right away, I called him when I got the job, who should I recruit on your team? And he made it, he said that, Will McClendon's, he's good enough and he's a UCLA kid. Grant obviously is from Southern California, so he knows the tradition, the history of what our academics are about. And he was right on all accounts. Will just had a traumatic ACL injury. It scared him. It was scary. He was in pain, tough recovery, but he's back to normal now. And right now, look, in this team, he's just playing a role for us. He's trying to be Jalen Clark while Jalen Clark's out. I know Will, as you know, is a big shot maker at Gorman. He was known as Big Shot Will. So, and I still know he's got it in him. We work with him every day on it, just trying to keep his confidence up. Obviously, his numbers show. If you didn't know him, you'd think, well, he's not a shooter. But if you watch high school basketball in Las Vegas, you know that's what he was. But he's just a winner. And I believe in winners, so that, Grant knows me. He knows what I'm looking for. This kid's a winner. He's your type of guy. And guys help you win a lot of ways. So right now in his career, he's helping us win with intangibles and toughness and defense. But I know the day is coming. He's going to help us win with shots too.
In the very back.
Dennis Patchen with KHQ SWX. Gonzaga played here a year ago against you. You played 3 games here in this building 2 weeks ago. The fact that you both are familiar with this facility, is that going to make for a better game, do you think, tomorrow? Because the newness is not here.
Again, I maybe. I think that's media stuff. Yeah, I think that's media stuff. Like, I don't know about all that stuff. I think, I don't care where the game is, what ball you're using. Players play. I mean, I never heard Michael Jordan. I grew up in the Michael Jordan era. When I was young, he was the best player ever. Kareem was older when I was, a little bit. So, guys, I just never heard of guys like that talk about stuff like that. I was raised on the great Oscar Robertson. My dad talking about him all the time. I never heard them guys talking about the gym and, the ball. And I don't believe in that stuff. To me, it's all soft. That's just how I look at it. I mean, them guys back then, man, they drank beer, whatever. You were interviewing them, got on a commercial flight, and Larry Bird got 50 the next night. So, and I don't know, what the hell kind of ball they were using or what gym they were even in.
All right, right down front.
Connor Morissette, Sports Illustrated Media Group. Coach, what makes Gonzaga such a difficult team to play against?
They have 3 things: coaching, plus, Drew Timme, and shooting. How's that for you? And not just shooting from one guy. They have multiple shooters, a great go-to player that has over 100 assists, very rare for a big guy. And AAA coaching.
Coach, this is probably media stuff too, but
sorry. Go ahead.
Adam Hill, Las Vegas Review Journal. Tomorrow's the 17-year anniversary of the UCLA Gonzaga game where UCLA had to come back. Obviously, you guys have the recent games.
Now, 17 years ago, I wasn't at UCLA. So who was in that game?
That was the Adam Morrison on the court. UCLA had the big comeback in that game. I'm not asking about that game in particular. I'm just saying that the rivalry has developed over this time. You guys have played the last 2 years. 2 of the premier programs, obviously on the West Coast, probably the 2 premier programs. I guess what makes this rivalry kind of special right now, and is that a good thing for the sport of college basketball?
Oh, look, all that stuff's good for college basketball. Yeah, playing big games. That's why Coach Few and I decided to try to get that game going last year. It's good for our. We played terrible, but that give them because of them. But it's all good for college basketball. Absolutely, anything that generates interest is good for college basketball. So I think as a coach, you got to be willing to schedule those kind of games.
Dan,
Yeah, Dan Wolken, USA Today again. Mick, I'm curious, how do you address it or approach it with your team when you lose a player important to you like Jalen Clark late in the season? And your guys are smart, they understand what it means, but it doesn't seem like, from a mental standpoint that it's rattled them at all.
It's because of the way we operate all year. That our other guys, you got a scholarship for a reason. And we operate under that. It's never okay to lose. So it doesn't matter who's playing. Now it may be a little bit harder to win. We might have to make some adjustments, but we're going to tell you how to win, and we got to be tough enough to figure it out. I mean, that's just what it boils down to. You got to be tough enough to do whatever you got to do to win the game. So, if it's somehow we got to find a way to contain Drew Timme and not give up 1 million threes tomorrow, regardless of who's playing for us, because we got some guys day to day. So if it doesn't go our way, I'm not going to come in here and say, we lost because these 2 guys weren't playing or these 3 guys weren't playing. We're still going to get to play 5-on-5. You got to be tough enough to figure it out if you want to win.
Right here in the middle.
Tarek Patel from Los Angeles Daily News. Hey, Coach. Specifically, Dylan Andrews. Everything about him has elevated. You mentioned he was.
It's all
+10.
coaching, man. Look who he plays for.
His ability to evolve and help the team on such a big stage in more minutes and more shots. Can you just talk about that?
Yeah, he was +10 the other day against Northwestern. His defense. You saw, if anybody you really watched that Northwestern game, how good he is defensively on the ball. So, and it's look, his comfort zone offensively is really hard for a young player. If they don't get extended, for any player, if you don't get extended minutes, it's just hard to get in any type of rhythm offensively. But again, he's young, he's playing on a team with some great talent, and he's embraced his role, which is, again, there's a reason why you have a bunch of wins. It's not the 4 letters, it's not the coaching. The guys buying into what they need to do to be a 31-win team. And he's a great example of it. You could look at his numbers and say, well, he hasn't had a great freshman year. And I couldn't disagree with you more. Like in what we needed him to be this year, he's done a great job of it.
All right, final question from Chris in the back. I apologize on the Zoom, but we only have 1 minute left on our satellite. So Chris, go ahead.
Coach Chris Matthews, KLAS TV here in Vegas. Can you quickly, I'm sure you mentioned this before, you talked about what's good for college basketball.
Yeah.
What about the transfer portal, the NIL, kind of that wild west, and your thoughts on that and how it's kind of changing the game of college basketball?
Yeah, I think it's just different. It's, you got to look at it as different. The dying words of every successful business is somebody sitting there saying, well, this is how we've always done things. And I would remind that to the new head of the NCAA. They better heed those words if they want the NCAA to exist and continue. They better heed those words. So I'm glad you asked that question, because players getting paid is coming. The government in our country got to a point where they're interceding to force NIL. And the next thing is going to be the Alston case, Supreme Court. I mean, it's just a matter of time, and we better figure it out if we want to continue. And lobbying to stop it or hoping it's the ships coming back to port is not the answer. We have to figure it out.
Coach, thank you.
All right, guys.
Good luck tomorrow night.